Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, this week's show is going to be quite a short one because we have no results to look at. We only have fixtures to look forward to. So let's get straight down to it with the Northern Premier Division. Now, even these fixtures have been kind of trimmed down quite a lot because of its County Cup weekend and its FA Cup weekend as well for the games that were meant to be played in December and then couldn't be pushed back 1 week because the Continental Cup takes precedence over the FA Cup. So then they were pushed back to this weekend, but I'll go through them anyway. So, Northern Premier Division, just one game, Wolverhampton Wanderers against AFC FAWNL. Now, this is a game that was only actually put on the system yesterday. So, a very late one for both Wolves and FAWNL. A late arrangement. Wolves top of the Northern Premier Division, 3 points ahead of Forest. But Forest have a game in hand. They'll have 2 games in hand after this weekend. AFC FAWNL in 8th. FAWNL with a win. Get themselves up to 6th. Crucially, any points for FAWNL will put them more than one game away from the drop in the Northern Premier Division. Southern Premier Division, Bridgewater United against Oxford United, Crawley Wasps against Billericay Town. So, top of the table, Oxford United travel to 7th, Bridgewater United. Bridgewater United could only go up 1 spot with a victory, but Oxford United will be looking to increase the gap to 8 points at the top of the table, although Watford will have 2 games in hand on them. Crawley Wasps at the bottom of the table, they're already 7 points away from safety. This game marks their halfway point. Billericay Town are in 5th. They would get themselves level on points with 2nd, 3rd and 4th with a victory, but they will have played more games than any of those sides. Division 1 Midlands then, Lincoln City against Leeford Athletic, Northampton Town against Leek Town. Lincoln City in 3rd, Leeford Athletic in 5th. Both of these teams tied on 16 points and could either of them would go 2nd with a victory overtaking Doncaster Rovers Bells. But they've only played 8 so far this season. So both these sides, Lincoln and Leeford, would have played 12. So yes, they'd be 1 point ahead of Doncaster Rovers Bells. But Doncaster Rovers Bells would have 4 in hand on them. Towards the bottom, Northampton Town against Leek Town. That's 11th against 10th. Leek Town currently out of the relegation zone by 4 points. So Northampton could really close that gap. They have 3 games in hand on Leek Town, and of course will still do so after this weekend. If they can reduce that gap to just 1 point over Leek Town, then that will really do Northampton a world of good. Leek Town with a victory could get themselves up into 7th, which would feel a lot safer than it does at the moment for them. That would put them, of course, 7 points clear of the relegation zone. Division 1 North is the busiest league this weekend. 4 games out of the 12 teams taking part. Chorley against Middlesbrough. That's 10th against 5th. Chorley just outside the relegation zone by a single point at the moment. Middlesbrough looking to try and gain a bit more ground on the top 2. However, Middlesbrough have played a game more than Durham Sestra at the moment. That could, of course, all kind of be irrelevant because with Durham Sestra also playing, Middlesbrough win, Durham don't win, that gap really starts to shrink. Middlesbrough can pull themselves into a bit of a title challenge. So Chorley down at the bottom want to get away from Merseyrail, who are away at Durham Sestra. Durham Sestra top of the league at the moment by a single point over Newcastle. So they'll be hoping to continue their run of form. Barnsley in 3rd at the moment, not playing this weekend in Division 1 North. So that means that opportunity for the rest of the teams to put 3 points on the board and put a bit of pressure on Barnsley, force them to pick up results in their games in hand. Norton Stockton Ancients against Hull City, that's 7th against 8th. Bit of a nothing game in the middle of the table, apart from the fact that Hull City are only 4 points currently above the drop. They do have 2 games in hand, though, in what is a relatively close bottom half of the Division 1 North table, certainly closer than some. Stockport County against Newcastle United. They can't both win, which is also great for Durham towards the top of the table. But that's probably the game of the day in Division 1 North. Let's have a look at Division 1 South East. 3 games taking place in this one. Hashtag United, top of the table, taking on bottom of the table Hounslow. Now, this is a repeat of the game that's only happened at the start of December. This is the reverse fixture. Hashtag United winning that one by 13-0. You have to feel that probably the same outcome is on the cards this time around. So Hashtag United already 6 points clear at the top. They could extend that. Norwich City and AFC Wimbledon not playing this weekend, so they could increase that to 9 points. But that will result in the other teams having 2 games in hand. Other games in this division: Cambridge United against Ashford Town, that's 6th against 8th. And London Seawood against Cheshire United is 5th against 9th. Cheshire United already 9 points clear of that lone drop space now in Division 1 South East. Hounslow, of course, occupying it. Now, Hounslow, the team to catch for them is Cambridge City. I was having a look at this earlier. They haven't played them yet. So there are a very important 6 points on offer in the second half of the season between those two sides. I think the fact that Cambridge City are struggling so much this season is the one lifeline that Hounslow have. If they are able to somehow get a result against Cambridge City, and things could be very different. But of course, a win for Cambridge City or 2 wins for Cambridge City, and it's going to be a 9-point gap. And you'd think that was all that was needed for Hounslow to end up in Tier 5. Division 1 South West then. Cardiff City at the top. They're not in action in the league this weekend. We've got Bournemouth against Portishead Town. Bournemouth in 2nd. Portishead Town in 8th. So you perhaps fancy Bournemouth in this one. It will mean that they will have played 3 games more than Cardiff. And the best they can do is get 3 points back. With Cardiff having 3 games in hand. Another good fixture for Cardiff this weekend is Exeter City against Moneyfields. Exeter City 5 points behind Cardiff. Moneyfields in 5th at the moment with a couple of games in hand. Now, Moneyfields are probably a bit too far back to think about challenging Cardiff just at the moment. But if they can take the victory away from Exeter, that will put them 5 points behind Exeter with 2 games in hand. So they could get themselves up to 3rd, and then they can start looking at potentially a bit more of a challenge. But a win for Moneyfields is probably the best result for Cardiff. And Chelsea against Keynsham Town, that's 6th against 9th. Chelsea mid-table, Keynsham Town 6 points clear of the bottom 2. And then we move on to the Cup fixtures then. So these are the FA Cup games that are being played this weekend. We've got Wimbledon against Gillingham, Birmingham City against Huddersfield Town, Charlton Athletic against MK Dons, Leeds United against Stoke City, Liverpool Feds take on West Bromwich Albion, London City Lionesses against Portsmouth, Peterborough United face Durham, and Sheffield United take on Nottingham Forest. Burnley against Norwich City, Crystal Palace take on Watford, and Lewis face London Bees. Then we've got finally 2 games in the FAWNL Cup and Plate. These are the catch-up games from those ones that were postponed way back towards the kind of November time. We've been catching up from this. Plymouth Argyle against Cardiff City in the Cup, Southampton Women's against Swindon Town in the Plate. And that'll do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Not really a lot to talk about, as I said at the start of the show, because we only had fixtures to look at. Next week we'll have results and fixtures. We'll be back up to our normal length and normal discussion over the course of next week. But thank you so much for joining me. As always, hope you had a good Christmas and New Year. Keep supporting your local women's football team. They're going to need you in the second half of the season if they're going to mount that title challenge or avoid relegation. Thank you very much for watching and or listening, and goodbye.